After the Barakah drone scare, is the real question not just whether Iran was behind it, but whether another key US ally in the Gulf could now be in the frame. Did Saudi Arabia, long seen as Abu Dhabi's closest Arab partner, just allow or mount a strike that hit near the Barakah nuclear plant and risked a dangerous new intra-Gulf confrontation? Is the UAE's chilling new statement about drones coming from its western border a subtle signal that this may now be a US ally versus US ally crisis, not the usual Iran blame game? And as Abu Dhabi publicly insists it is still investigating the source of the attack, is the UAE buying time before it points a finger, or trying to avoid a direct clash with a neighbor? After the Barakah nuclear scare, the UAE acknowledged that the hostile drones had entered its airspace from the western border, a detail that immediately set off speculation about where they were launched. Abu Dhabi authorities said air defenses intercepted 2 unmanned aerial vehicles, while a third managed to reach an electrical generator facility linked to the Barakah complex and trigger a fire. The Emirati Defense Ministry stressed that investigations are still underway, signaling that, at least officially, they are not yet ready to attribute responsibility to any state or group. Officials have promised that more details will be released once the probe is completed, effectively asking both domestic and foreign audiences to hold off judgment for now. At the same time, the UAE underlined that its forces remain ready to respond to future security threats, framing the incident as serious but contained within its broader defense posture. On May 17, a drone strike caused a fire at an electrical generator associated with the Barakah nuclear power plant, instantly raising alarms about the vulnerability of critical energy infrastructure. The attack occurred in the Dhafra region and, crucially, outside the plant's heavily protected inner perimeter, allowing Emirati officials to stress that the reactor itself was never in direct danger. Abu Dhabi's media office reported that no injuries were recorded and that radiological safety levels remained unchanged, seeking to calm fears of any nuclear leak or contamination. Authorities emphasized that the blaze was quickly contained by emergency teams and did not breach any of Barakah's core nuclear safety systems, framing the incident as a security warning rather than a nuclear accident. So far, the UAE Defense Ministry has publicly maintained that the source of the drone attack is unknown, keeping its official language carefully neutral. Unlike previous incidents, Abu Dhabi has pointedly avoided directly accusing Iran, a notable change in tone that has fueled speculation about other possible culprits. Iran's Tasnim news agency quickly raised questions about possible Saudi involvement, highlighting regional rivalries and hinting at tensions that go beyond the usual Iran-UAE narrative. Tasnim claimed that relations between Riyadh and Abu Dhabi have recently entered a cold phase, suggesting that political friction could now be spilling over into the security realm. All of this is unfolding as Saudi Arabia and the UAE increasingly disagree over key parts of regional security strategy, from Iran and Yemen to energy policy and ties with Israel. Amid fresh warnings that the ceasefire could collapse, a new account of the UAE's behind-the-scenes role is shocking the region, casting Trump's Gulf ally as one of the loudest voices for hitting Iran harder. According to this report, shortly after US-Israeli strikes began, Abu Dhabi pressed its neighbors to join a broader regional response, trying to turn limited retaliation into a Gulf-wide front against Tehran. Mohammed bin Zayed personally urged Saudi Arabia and Qatar to participate in a joint answer to Iranian attacks, arguing that only a united wall of states could deter further strikes. MBZ is reported to have believed that if the Gulf stood together, politically and militarily, Iran would think twice before firing on oil terminals, towers, and airports again. Instead, key partners including Saudi Arabia and several other Gulf states refused to sign up to a retaliatory campaign, judging that escalation carried more risks than benefits. Some leaders are even said to have told MBZ bluntly that this was not their conflict, signaling they were unwilling to be dragged deeper into a fight they saw as primarily US-Iranian. All of this unfolded as Tehran fired nearly 3,000 drones and missiles at targets inside the UAE before the April 8 ceasefire, turning Dubai and Abu Dhabi into frontline cities overnight. Iran's barrages also struck ports, airports, towers and hotels across the wider region, underscoring why some Gulf rulers feared any additional strikes might only invite more destruction at home. Riyadh reportedly branded the UAE's push for joint strikes escalatory, choosing instead a deterrence-only posture, bolstering defenses and diplomacy while avoiding direct offensive action. That strategic split deepened already strained ties between Abu Dhabi and Riyadh, turning quiet economic competition into visible geopolitical friction in the middle of a war. In Qatar, officials briefly weighed direct retaliation after Iran hit the Ras Laffan LNG complex, but ultimately stepped back from the brink. Doha concluded its role should be de-escalation and mediation, not opening a new military front, especially with LNG exports and foreign bases sitting in Iran's line of sight. Bahrain and Kuwait broadly followed Saudi Arabia's caution, keeping to defensive postures and steering clear of any offensive operations that could widen the conflict. Oman, long a quiet backchannel to Tehran, was never expected to join strikes at all, instead continuing to play the role of discreet go-between as the fighting raged. Against this backdrop, Abu Dhabi shocked energy markets by pulling out of the Saudi-led OPEC cartel in late April, signaling just how far its rift with Riyadh had widened. Reports now suggest the UAE is even reviewing its participation in regional bodies like the GCC, raising the question of whether Trump's most enthusiastic Gulf partner is preparing to chart a far more independent course.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that look, you will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest news makers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the U.S. will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry ghats.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HT videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.